Horror right now is obsessed with grief, it would seem. Every new movie seems to circle the same trauma cycles. They're dressed up as supernatural metaphors. Bring Her Back is, of course, no exception. It proves the Philippou brothers aren't one-hit wonders, but it also proves exactly what I've been saying recently, and that is modern horror has sort of trapped itself in this like one emotional gear. And I think that's becoming a big problem. So let's talk about it. This is, of course, written and directed by the Philippou brothers, Danny and Michael. This is their sophomore follow-up to Talk to Me. Talk to Me was a big hit for them. It was a big hit for A24. A big hit in the horror community. Bring Her Back is about two siblings, Andy and Piper. Their father dies in the shower, and they get sent off to live with a foster parent. They get sent to stay with Laura, played by Sally Hawkins. She's got another child that she is fostering, Oliver, who is mute and doesn't speak and just stares and eats cats and shit. Turns out that Laura is not as she seems, as one could guess, and we get some crazy shit that plays out. This movie is just about grief. That's what it's about. The supernatural stuff that's playing out in this movie is symbolic for the grief that our characters are dealing with. This trope at this point is pervasive in like every modern horror movie now. We see it in all of them, and that's why when we watched Weapons, I had kind of framed that conversation around the fact like, this is a return to classic horror that is just horror for the sake of horror. Like, oh, we have a witch who's just doing weird shit. Horror has always had messages for sure and deeper meanings and themes, but it's starting to become a trend where it's like that is the sole purpose of the movie, and I personally don't think that is a good thing.
Yeah, no, I actually thought this was good. I enjoyed this more than Talk to Me, I would say. Speaking on like horror being obsessed with grief, I mean, grief is scary, right? Like,
sure is, yeah.
It's also easy to relate to.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned it earlier that you're talking about how movies just aren't, some of the modern movies just aren't really scary. And I was just saying like real life is scarier, right? So this could be why maybe that Hollywood is choosing to lean into this angle.
As far as the grief thing, I mean, I don't know if it's a matter of just like the directors that can touch well on it to tell the story well are getting more shots at making these types of movies, or if that's just like I don't know, is it a byproduct of a generation coming to terms with like,
maybe,
yeah, we had some grief, but I don't know. It's always been in horror movies for as long you can go back. There's some horror movies that are about grief.
Oh, totally.
But as far as like the pervasiveness of it, maybe I don't know for sure, but this was a good movie. It was well acted, well cast, interesting story.
For me, I enjoyed it too, actually. I thought the first act of the movie was a little bit weak. The movie was 90 minutes, roughly. It was like at the 40-minute mark, 38 minutes. So around the 40-minute mark that like actually things started happening. I thought the first first act of the movie was very, very needlessly slow, like relentlessly slow. And I understand they were trying to do character development and set up
or character misdirection.
Yeah, misdirection. I don't think there was any real misdirection, to be honest. Like, I think pretty quickly I was like, oh, I know exactly what's happening. Which is another thing that bothered me. The cold open, like, kind of just sold the whole movie, really.
Yeah, but I mean, these movies typically only end in two ways. Like, we see this successful completion of whatever weird ass seance that this person is trying to do in this said movie.
Yeah.
They complete it and things go terribly wrong, or there's some sort of like fluke and like side effect or something. And then it gets even weirder from there. Or they don't complete this seance that they're trying to do. And you're like, it leaves you wondering, what if? It's a predictable outcome in the movie, but I thought they did a pretty good job.
This did need 40 minutes to set up. Like that was the first act was just very, very slow to me. And then you start to get into the weird shit, that's where the atmosphere kind of like really jumps into high gear, and you get that like this oppressive, grief soaked atmosphere. And that's kind of really how it feels. Like you actually feel very sad for Laura, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but her performance, Sally Hawkins, was like generational in my opinion. Like one of the best performances in a movie I think I've ever seen. even though she's doing like very malicious, manipulative shit throughout the movie, and you hate her, you really actually kind of end up feeling for her at some point. At least I did. I did think the movie did a really good job of building tension. I think it did a really good job of establishing what was going on and then paying it off at the end. A lot of times horror movies fail to stick the landing. I think this one did that pretty well.
It's a horror movie, so you always question the decision making of the people in the film. You're like, don't be that stupid.
I agree with you. I know what you're trying to say. There was a lot of stupidity that happened.
There has to be some dumb things to allow for the movie to have a plot, right? Otherwise,
absolutely.
Big dusty gripes happening right here, guys.
The thing that bothered me the most was this. They really established the connection between brother and sister and their grapefruit code and how they're there for each other. I just don't buy the fact, and the movie didn't execute this well, and also I just wouldn't buy it even if it executed it perfectly, that she would suddenly be overtaken by this woman's charm and gaslighting, that she would just not trust her brother.
Brother first, absolutely. That was a bad choice sketchy. Of character. Yeah.
So yeah, it's not a perfect movie, but none of that is to say the movie was bad. These are just little things that I think could have been done a little bit smarter, because
I said it was compelling. So it was.
For those of you who don't know, Dusty Gripes, Mr. Man over there in the hoodie, he attacks very small logical things in movies. We call it a Dusty Gripe. And while Dusty Gripes are small, I think in this case it hindered the movie a little bit. When a lot of the stuff is very ambiguous and not explained, but in a bad way, when it actually is like pretty central to the plot. Like, I kind of want to have a little bit of an idea more than what the movie gave. Yeah, I think it's a good movie, but I think overall it does prove that genre problem that I think exists. Maybe it doesn't exist. Maybe it's just a me problem. If every horror movie is about grief, well, where does that leave the rest of the genre? We're starting to lose some of those things that we saw in Weapons recently, which is why I liked Weapons so much. Weapons was more of a thriller than it is a horror, but it has the same elements of classic horror that I think are sorely missing. And this does not.
Are we just seeing it in movies that we decide to watch more, or is it just that the other ones that aren't about grief not that good?
I would argue that every mainstream horror movie that comes out now has the same ingredients, right? It's not just grief; it's just trauma in general, right? Is the central themes of these, whether it be couple trauma, psychological trauma, depression, anxiety, grief, mourning, loss. Like, it's all the same thing. Every one. So
you're saying you want more supernatural and less like reality of it? Because
no,
I mean, people who are going through grief are more. It's a more believable tendency that they would have to do anything to bring that person back, or to do that one thing, to say one more time hello. Like, that is a strong storytelling point.
It is.
And I get that you're saying that it's overused, and I kind of agree with you in that I see a trend in it. I don't know if I'm in overused mode yet, but I understand what you're saying. Like, it's being used a lot.
It might just be a me thing. That's totally fine. I see it. I'm noticing a trend, and it's like, I don't know, I'm losing those like old school horror appeals that I really like.
I think there's just like a trauma or like human emotion trend, like, just because, like I said, it's relatable, and it's definitely easier to do than coming up with something like Halloween or something like where it's just like this random event seemingly with no type of real
purpose.
Yeah.
The Thing is also a great example. Look at The Thing or Alien. These are just situations that are happening. There's no real deeper meanings or tones or anything to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would say, like, I mean, it's just like a shift, like, because back then it seems like those were more of what was happening, like just random events. Mm-hmm. And now it's more like emotion based, or like
that's exactly
whatever,
what I'm
right?
saying. Yeah.
But so I think it's fine. It's just a shift, right? Like, that was the focus then. This is the shift now.
Yeah.
Let's see what the future brings, really. Because I mean, I'm enjoying these.
It was a strong story, I thought. I got a little choked up in the end there. Emotionally, it worked. It worked on me. I didn't really find it very scary, but that's very rare these days.
No, yeah.
The acting in this
Yep.
movie I thought was brilliant.
Yes.
Sally Hawkins absolutely dominated this movie. She was great. I think the
Yes, she
movie hinges on her performance, and she fucking knocked it out of the park. A little slow to start, but it ended strong, came around. Personally, I think it's a good example of why the genre feels a little stuck, at least for me right now, in sort of this one mode. And it was started by Hereditary, so you could be in worse company.
And closing me saying, I don't know that it's pervasive. It's just something. Maybe we're just watching more of those movies right now.
I think with how effective Hereditary was when it came out, I think that movie gave the genre a violent shove into a specific direction.
Okay, yeah.
That we're seeing.
Success will also give
And-
prominence to copycats and flattery. Absolutely.
I think an argument can be made that besides the gratuitous violence and the fun that comes along with that for some people, a movie like Terrifier is so popular in the genre because it's not this.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's just
That's
a
fair.
fucking dude dressed as a clown who's fucking slaughtering people.
I mean, trends happen, so maybe it was
Trends do happen.
It was vacant for a while and it's coming back. So I don't necessarily agree with you. I see
That's fair.
a trend, but
Okay.
pervasive. I'm not there yet.
I think I would agree with that, with Dusty's take.
Okay. Well, I disagree with you. I think horror needs to diversify again. I think we're getting some one-note movies at this point in the genre. I don't think the Philippus are one-hit wonders. Clearly, they know how to make a good movie. Both movies were strong.
They're good storytellers. They're compelling stories, at least.
They got good horror imagery. They're good at making you feel uncomfortable. But it has a 7.2 on IMDb. People are loving it. There's a lot of good ratings on it. It's good on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm right there. I would give it a 7.
Yeah, I'm about the same 7.
Okay.
Yeah, 7.5.
Okay. Marvin gives a little bit of a
Okay.
Little
bump.
bump.
Yeah, I think
Fair enough.
The Flupo brothers make a compelling movie that I would recommend watching. I don't know how memorable they'll be, but maybe probably rewatch them a little bit later down the road.
I would recommend this one too. I thought it was strong enough to get my recommendation. So there you have it, folks. Go watch Bring Her Back if you're in the mood for a spooky movie for October and haven't seen it. If you have seen it, leave a comment. Let us know. Like I said, do you think this is a continuation in a stale genre trope or not? I'm open to having my mind changed. So leave a comment. Let us know.